Yeah. How could there be like a feedback loop with that that gets out of control?
Like, I feel like if you are the kind of person where like you go on like a bunch, then it kind of gets as this bragging right of like I've gone on so many missions and served so many communities, and like you just kind of like your purpose gets lost
Yeah.
in the excitement of it all.
Yeah. Yeah. Be careful. You can you could totally lose the tune on that for sure. Any other ones come up? Yeah.
We talk about worship. Like sometimes it's just about like how you sound, how like the presentation of it versus singing to God.
Yeah. Yeah. That one in particular could get it's really tricky, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
We kind of talked about like marriage, and
Marriage.
I guess there's like multiple things off of that. Like marriage is a religious practice, and like a covenant is a religious sacrament. So like keeping a marriage, um, like as a covenant instead of just like married for convenience or I don't know, just like knowing that like a marriage isn't just two people who are wanting to get married. It's like a sacrament with God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That hadn't come to mind. But you're right. It's a sacrament. Um, cool. Do we have one more, perhaps? Yeah.
We mentioned sharing the gospel and teaching,
Hmm.
especially nowadays with social media and content creators, how that can become like a source for people to want fame and money instead of just genuinely wanting to.
Okay. I think I got it now. Is it going now? Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Cool. Treasure in the sky. So in the last teaching, Jesus said, be careful about your doing what is right, your religious devotion of righteousness. Don't do it in front of people for the purpose of being seen by them. And then this line that we didn't really get into much, if you do that, you will have no reward from your Father in the skies. And so I just put it out there, what is this reward that God wants to give you? And that's what these next series of teachings are going to kind of riff off of and think about, is this reward. What is true reward? To get us thinking about it, I want you to ask your neighbor, what do you want in life? What are your deepest desires? Let's get real for a second. Why don't you share with someone what's one or two things that you really desire in life? Be as honest as you can. All right. Finish up your thought. All right, let's hear a bunch. Let's just popcorn them out. Serve God is number one. All right.
Number 2 is family.
Family. Like having a family.
Getting married with kids.
Getting married and having kids. Deep desire. Beautiful. What else we got?
Financially stable.
Go one level deeper. What's the desire under that?
Be able to provide for friends and family.
Okay. Be able to take care of people. Anything else? What else does financial stability give you? What do you desire out of that? Freedom. It's good. What else? Stability, security. Yeah. Is that what you said, security? Yeah. Yeah, security. Don't we all just desire security? The ability to take care of people. Yeah, these are deep, deep desires. What's under family? I should ask you the same question. What's the desire under family?
Another, I think also kind of security, desire to
Did you hear that? There's also security with family. People that you can love, that can love you. So being known and loved by people and loving people. Intimacy. There it is. Yeah. This is good. All right, what else? Joy. There, you got right to the bottom of it. I love it. Joy. That's a deep, deep desire. A couple more. Fun. It's good. All right, one more. Peace. Oh, yeah. Peace. What does peace mean for you?
Absence of worry or anxiety.
Okay, yeah. Love that. Jesus is going to have something to say about anxiety in Sermon on the Mount, isn't he? All right. Think about those things. Think about peace. Think about intimacy. Think about joy, freedom, security. Think about those things. How would you store those things up? If you had like a big silo that you were able to store those kind of things in, how would you do that? How would you store up these deepest desires that we have?
I feel like in that sense, I wouldn't want to exactly store them.
Uh-huh.
I would want to cultivate them in the sense of like
Beautiful. Do you guys all hear that? These aren't things that you kind of really store up. These are things that you cultivate. These are things that you share and enjoy. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, isn't it weird to think about storing up joy or storing up security, storing up fun? It's something, it's weird to think about storing it up. Jesus is going to use this as a metaphor. He's going to talk about land treasure. That's easy to store up. It's easy to think about storing up money in a bank account. It's easy to think about storing up food in a silo. But it's really hard to think about what is this real treasure we're after and how do we store it up. This is what Jesus is going to talk about. So let's get into it. Let's stand up and read it. Let's stand up and read it. Let's start with possessions, true wealth, redux. I'll explain later if you want why I have a redux in here, but that's Matthew 6, 19 through 21. Someone read that out, and then we'll just keep going. I'll tell you when to stop. A next person for each teaching.
Don't store up for yourselves stored wealth on the land, where moth and nibbler can ruin, and where thieves can break in and steal. But store up for yourselves stored wealth in the sky, where neither moth nor nibbler can ruin, and where thieves can't break in or steal. For where your stored wealth is, there your heart will also be.
Next one.
Don't store for yourself stored wealth on the land where moth and nibbler can ruin, and where thieves break in and steal. Did we just read that?
Yeah.
On two parables.
Or on two parables?
Yeah.
Okay. The lamp of the body is the eye, and then if your eye is genuine and generous, your whole body will be radiant. But if your eye is bad and greedy, your whole body will be dark. If then the light that is in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? No one is able to serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will devote to one and despise the other. You are not able to serve God and money.
Thank you. Next one.
Because of this I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, not even about your body, what you will put on. Isn't the living self more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air, how they don't sow seed, and they don't harvest, and they don't gather into barns, and yet your Father in the skies feeds them. Aren't you all much more valuable than they? And who among you is able to add an hour to your lifespan by worry? And about clothing, why do you worry? Pay attention to the lilies of the field, how they grow. They don't labor and they don't weave cloth. But I say to you all, not even Solomon with all his honor clothes himself like one of these. Now if the grass of the field, which is there today and tomorrow is tossed into the furnace, is clothed this way by God, won't he much more clothe you who have so little trust? So then don't worry, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear for clothing? For the nations, they constantly seek for all these things, and your Father in the skies knows that you need all that. Rather, first of all, seek for his kingdom and doing what is right by him, and all these things will be added to you. So then, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow can worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You sit down. All right. What questions come to mind? Let's do 4 questions. Who's got a question that comes to mind with these passages? What is a nibbler? That's a great question. That's not the translation you're used to, probably. There's actually a big discrepancy in translations, so we'll look at it. What's another question? Any of those teachings? Yeah.
No, never mind. It was not a question.
Okay.
No.
It's just a statement? Okay. Let's do 2 more. 2 more questions. Hit me with a question. No one's got anything? What about the lamp of the body? Anyone have any questions about that? Yeah.
Not about that.
No, no. What do you got?
For the two masters, talks about how you either hate one and love the other, or you love one and despise the other. I feel like sometimes like it feels like you can be like devoted to more than one thing.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be?
Why is there such a this extreme either or? That's a great question. Why is this extreme either or with that parable of two masters? Okay. The lamp of the body. It's a weird metaphor. We'll get into it. Don't worry about your life. Really? Is that a smart way to live? Okay. We'll get into it. Let's look at this first teaching. Don't store up for yourselves stored wealth on the land. How do you guys typically remember this verse? What does it say? Anyone got NIV or NASB or ESV? Read it out. Don't store up for yourself what? Treasure. Treasure. The word treasure is actually, it's cool. It comes from an Old English meaning of the word treasure, which doesn't mean like pirate booty treasure, but treasury. You guys know what a treasury is?
It's kind of like a big bank safe.
Yeah, it's like a big safe. It's something that you can store things in. So the word here in Greek that's translated stored wealth here is the word thesaurus. You guys know this word? Thesaurus. So actually we just took the Greek word, we turned it into an English word, and we use it what's a thesaurus?
It's a synonym.
Yeah, synonyms for words. It's a book that has synonyms for words. It's a storehouse of words and their synonyms is why we call it a thesaurus. A thesaurus in Greek is literally a storehouse, something you store things in. And in Greek, this is literally don't thesaurus for yourself a thesaurus. It's actually a word play in Greek. So don't store up for yourself stored up things. And he's talking about wealth here. So that's translated stored wealth. So don't store up for yourself stored up things. Don't treasure your treasures is kind of what Jesus is saying here. Why? Well, because ultimately things that we store up here on the land are not secure. They're ultimately not secure. They feel secure, but they're not. And there's three kind of ancient examples. One is the moth. Anyone ever had a moth take a bite out of your shirt? Just happened to me the other month. Has this never happened to you guys? You never got moth bites? Oh my goodness. It's the worst. They just I don't know where they come from. They just get in the closet and they eat your clothing. It's a real thing. In the ancient world, your clothing was an asset. It's hard for us to understand this because clothing is such this fast fashion thing, and we can buy clothing really cheap. But back in the ancient world, you really had one or two sets of clothing, and it was an asset for you. Your cloak was like your blanket, and it was your coat, and you probably only had one of them. And if a moth came and started eating it, that's a big deal. You would be bummed. Yes.
It also your clothing represented your identity of who you were in society, right?
Yeah. If you were rich enough, then you could have important clothes. And so we get that. We still have that. But when you hear of a moth eating your garment, now it's kind of okay, well, I'll buy a new garment. Back then, it was that's like someone coming in and stealing your bank account. It's a big deal. The nibbler. Let's talk about the nibbler. What's a translation in your Bible? What do we got? Vermin. What? Rust and worm. Oh, it has a note. Okay. Yeah. Vermin, worm, rust. These all seem pretty different from each other, huh? How nerdy do you guys want to get? You want to get nerdy? This word is brosis in Greek, and brosis means food. It literally just means food. but it can be used to as a, what would you call it, an adjective, to eat. You could also say to brosis is to eat. So the eater would be a way to transliterate this. You can eat, and you have a thing that eats, the eater. And that's the word here, brosis. So think of like all the little critters that come and like get your crops. The caterpillar, the mouse, the worm. This is a brosis. This is an eater, yeah? Centipedes. They come and they just nibble away at your crops. So we use the word nibbler. Why rust? Rust eats away at metal. And there's also another really interesting reason why rust. What translation has rust? ESV. I think it comes from the King James. So do you guys know about the Tyndale Bible? You know about Tyndale? He was the first one to translate the Bible from Latin into English. And when he did that, he chose a word. He chose the word rust. And the reason is because he was thinking about James. In James, there's a passage where James says to the wealthy people, like, hey guys, your money is like a problem, and you're flaunting it, and it's all gonna rust. And it's not secure. And so when Tyndale translated this, he had James on the brain, and he was kind of hyperlinking it to this teaching in James, and he chose rust. James didn't use the word rust. It was a completely different word. But that's why it's rust in your Bible. But this is the nibbler, the thing that kind of nibbles away. In an agricultural society, like little creatures that ate your food, pests, this was a big deal. I mean, it's a big deal for farmers today, but anyone a farmer here? Probably not. So you kind of have to get an ancient imagination and think about how much of a threat the nibblers are. And then, of course, thieves. Now we get this. Has anyone ever had something stolen? I get so angry when things get stolen. It just feels so violating. Something gets stolen. But we all know what that feels like. These are three ancient examples of the insecurity of our stuff. Our stuff might feel secure. A good paying job might feel secure. A bank account loaded with money might feel secure. A bunch of stocks might feel secure. But Jesus would say, actually, it's not as secure as you think. Currencies can just completely devalue overnight. This happens in countries. The stock market could just tank. The housing market can be a bubble. You can lose your job. You can lose your health and have to pay a bunch of bills. Like, we know this. Like, we think things are secure, but ultimately they're not. And this is the point that Jesus is trying to make with these ancient examples. And then he says something really provocative. He says, where your stored wealth is, there your heart will be also. And heart in Hebrew and in Greek thought is not just where you feel emotion. It's actually like kind of the center of your being. It's where you think and make decisions and feel emotions. Your heart is the central part of you. Wherever you store things up, that's where your attention goes, right? Does anyone collect something? What do you collect? Lego dragons? That's a great collection. Yeah. Yeah. Cords? Coins. Yeah. Stickers? Oh, on your guitar? Yeah. That's beautiful. Like the collector mindset, it kind of grabs your attention. Right? Every time you see a sticker now, you're like, ooh, is that a sticker I want? When we store things up, that's where like our attention goes, that's where our heart goes. So Jesus is kind of making a really significant point here. Is like, not only is it ultimately insecure, but it's just going to like grab your attention and you're going to constantly be thinking about these things. Where your stored wealth is, there your heart will be also. Then he moves on to this parable. No one can serve two masters. Either he will hate one and love the other, or to be devoted to one and despise the other. You can't serve God and mammon is the word here. Mammon. Well, let's not get into it. Some people think it might have been a god that you worship, but money, wealth, is something that we tend to give our allegiance to. Really good point. I don't remember who made it, but why was it you? Why is there such an extreme language here? Like, can't you do both? Like, seems like a little extreme. In the rabbinic tradition, this was very common. You've probably noticed this in other teachings. If you want to save your life, you must lose it. In fact, you should hate your life if you want to find it. This was a very common kind of use extreme language to make you kind of feel the crisis of it. This was the way Jesus taught because he was a first century rabbi. But it's meant for you to kind of have this moment of like, ooh, okay, can I serve both God and money? And there is something about money, isn't there? Where it just like grabs our imagination and it grabs our heart. And it really is hard to accumulate money and to like have a life that's about getting more security through money and not letting it just completely take over our imagination. Talk to anyone who has wealth and fame, and they will tell you that. They will tell you, didn't make them happy. Then we get to the parable of the two eyes. Let's take a quick break. Stand up real quick. We're doing a lot. Stretch your arms. We're on the home stretch. Breathe in deep. Breathe out. The ruach in your body. There we go. All right. Okay. Sit back down. This will be the last teaching of the day. I love this teaching because it feels so strange and confusing, but in context of this teaching on wealth and our possessions and our stuff and where our heart is, it suddenly starts to make a lot of sense. I want you to think back and remember that question. What do I really want? What's the thing that I really desire in life? And how do I store that up? And we started to wrestle with it, right? How do you store up joy? How do you store up peace? How do you store up security? Like, how is that really done? It's not with a bank account, is it? Then what is it? Jesus will call it sky treasure. Treasures in heaven. What is it? I love this parable because I think it gives us kind of an imagination for it a little bit. The lamp of the body is the eye. Stop right there. This is a metaphor. Sorry. This is a metaphor. I think we can get intuitively, but it was a very important ancient metaphor that our bodies can be full of light, like a lamp, and the way that you can see someone's life, the light that comes out of them, is through their eyes. You know that, like when you are talking with someone, you look them in the eyes, and you can kind of see the life in their eyes, or they might seem a little dead in the eyes, and you're really worried about them. There's something about the eyes, like a portal to the soul, and it could show you the light within or the darkness within. Real quick, here's a proverb. Light in a messenger's eyes brings joy to the heart, and good news gives health to the bones. Right? A messenger comes and gives good news, and they're just beaming with joy out of their eyes. You've experienced that, right? And it brings life to those around. Someone who comes in with that joy, it's infectious, isn't it? Psalm 38:10, my heart throbs, my strength fails me, and the light of my eyes has gone from me. Feeling depressed, feeling lifeless is like losing the light from your eyes. And then famously, God is light. and in him is no darkness at all. So there's this idea that we can be filled with the light of God. And how do you know? Look at someone's eyes. Something about seeing it in someone's eyes. So this is the parable world here. You guys there with me in this parable world? The lamp of the body, the light that is within the body, can be seen through the eyes. Okay. Now Jesus is going to say that there's two types of eyes you could have. A haplos eye, that's Greek, or a bad eye. A bad eye, that's easy to translate, but haplos is really, really hard to translate. So I want to talk about this word haplos. Haplos eye. If your eye is haplos. Haplos can have three meanings. The first meaning is to be single, like a single thing, as opposed to two things or three things or four things. A single thing, that's a haplos. So if you were rolling dice and you roll a 1, you just rolled a haplos. Make sense? Single. The second definition is simple. Haplos can just mean simple. Something that's simple, meaning plain or straightforward, easy to understand, is haplos. It's not complex. So what's a good example of something like that? I don't know, nothing's coming to mind. Something straightforward. A stop sign. It's pretty haplos. Pretty straightforward. The third meaning, it can mean whole, as in undivided or not mixed. So like a pizza before you put slices in it, something whole. So this is the word haplos. So your eye can be haplos. This word, it's kind of hard to translate. What does it mean to have a haplos eye? What do you guys think? What do all these have in common?
If I'm going to use all of those together, I would say it's just to have your whole attention simply on the one single thing, which is Jesus Christ.
That's good. Did you guys hear that? Yeah, having your attention wholly devoted to one thing. And probably the best thing would be Jesus. Yeah. Single attention, focus. That's good. I think that's in there with haplos. Anything else? This is a hard word to translate because it doesn't show up anywhere else in the New Testament. All of these other meanings come from other extra New Testament examples of haplos. There is a word, though, in the New Testament. It's a similar word. It has the same root word, and it's the word haplotes. And this word is used in the New Testament a lot, and this can give us a better idea of what it means to be haplos. And it's the quality of being simple or straightforward, or here's a good word, sincere. Like a sincere person. There's a simplicity and there's an authenticity about someone who's just focused and sincere. It's an approach to life, and it implies generosity. So, for example, Romans 12:8. Let the one who gives give with haplotes. We usually translate this, the one who gives, give generously. Give with a spirit of sincerity and simplicity. 2 Corinthians 8:2. Their abundance of joy and their deep poverty overflowed in the wealth of their haplotes. 2 Corinthians 9:11. You will be enriched in all things with haplotes, producing gratefulness to God. So there's this way of life that's sincere and generous. It just kind of abounds with giving to other people. So that's why in our translation here, if your eye is genuine and generous, we kind of cram two words into one. A genuine eye, like a sincere eye, but also a generous eye. Close your eyes for a second. Picture someone in your life, someone you've met, who is like this. their body is just full of lights, and when you're around them, it's infectious. They have a hoplos eye. When they look around, they see opportunity. When they talk with you, their attention is on you, and they're a generous spirit. When they see a need, they love to give. They just believe in abundance. Do you have someone in your mind? I really want you to picture, and if there isn't someone in your life, then just create a picture of who this person would be. Because I think this picture is at the center of what it means to store up. Sky treasure. You can open your eyes. Picture that person. Think about that person with the hoplos eye. And they're seeing opportunity. They're being generous. That kind of person brings life to those around them, right? And the whole story of the Bible, said it before, say it again, is about the generosity of God in heaven coming to earth, heaven and earth uniting. And we can live into it now. We can experience that generosity now. We can believe in that generosity now. And when you do, it lets the light inside of you just out. And then you can have this vibe that's just generous and sincere. And that kind of person, that's the kind of person that's storing up sky treasure. That's the kind of person who's experiencing and letting other people experience those deepest desires that we have, right? When you're around those people, you're feeling joy. You're feeling security. You're feeling those things that we ultimately are after. Jesus is saying, you can experience those things now. You can be that kind of person. You can be the kind of person that extends that to others. It's a beautiful image, the hoplos eye. But you could have another type of eye. It's the bad eye. And a bad eye in the Bible is clearly a greedy eye. Proverbs 28:22. A man with a bad eye hastens after wealth. When you call someone a bad eye in Hebrew thought, you're calling them greedy. It's that person who, like, they don't think there's enough. It's all about them. It's all about accumulating. It's all about taking. That's the bad eye. So Jesus is saying you could have two types of eyes. A genuine, generous eye or a bad eye. And if the bad eye creates darkness inside of you. And if the light that is in you that is darkness, the light, God's light that he put inside of you, if you turn that into darkness, ooh, how great is that darkness? There is one more teaching in the section. We read it. It is the teaching on do not worry. Do not be anxious. It's a beautiful, beautiful teaching. It's also really confusing to me because it seems a little immature to just go willy-nilly and not worry about your life. But Jesus wants to give us a picture that there's abundance out there. There's enough. And we could be the kind of person who sees that abundance and believes in that abundance. Look at the birds of the air, he says. Remember Genesis 1? What's the first thing to be blessed? The birds. The birds of the air. There's abundance. There's flocks of them. We can believe in the generosity and the abundance of God. There's enough. There's enough to share. There's enough for me. There's enough for others. Jesus is saying, look, this impulse to just store things up, you're going to deal with that your whole life. And it's never going to be enough. And it's going to take your attention. It's going to capture your heart. It might even become a master that you serve. So instead, think about being the kind of person that stores up sky treasure. Stores up the things that we're after ultimately, which is life. The life of God in us and with others. I think you guys are experiencing it now a little bit, aren't you? Here. Being with each other, not having all this pretension that maybe came from other parts of your life, just feeling like I can be known and loved for who I am. Like this is a moment right now where we get to practice being hoplos and just experiencing God's generosity and extending it to each other. And I'm sure you're feeling it now. And Jesus wants you to take that and continue to give that on to other people, because you're going to leave here and you're going to experience people in your life who's never had an experience like this. And you're going to be able to be the one that gives them a taste of what that's like, to believe that the kingdom of God is here now and with us. Okay. Thank you, guys. This afternoon, we'll do something new. And then tomorrow, I am gone, and I'll be back Friday, and we'll finish up Sermon on the Mount Friday and Saturday. Sounds like a plan? All right. Thanks.